Hey, what's going on, you guys? John Shea here. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me. This is actually the first time I'm using this new live feature on YouTube. Maybe if you guys could just throw like a 1 in the chat box, just make sure everybody can hear me okay. I imagine the video is coming up, and I already see we have a couple questions in the chat box. And I believe most of you here are actually from Udemy. Bravo Man says hello again. Cool. Yeah, I'm excited, you guys. I haven't really done a lot of live Q&A stuff before, and I've actually been in a scenario for a while where I have these educational announcements on Udemy, and I just haven't really used them. They allow you to do 4 educational announcements every single month, and I don't think the last time I used them, it probably was over 6 months ago. At one point, I was sending out some stuff about YouTube and different YouTube videos I was doing, but yeah, I wanted to jump on, do probably, depending on how this goes, maybe 20, 30 minutes Q&A, answer any questions you guys might have, anything that you want to learn about entrepreneurship. It doesn't have to just be about landing clients, even though I mentioned that was kind of the main topic. But yeah, let's see. So let's start going through. I got a couple questions already, so I'm going to read these off and I will answer these the best that I can. And of course, just leave your questions. If you want to stop me at any point, anything that I mentioned, feel free to just leave it in the chat box and I will try to answer the best that I can. So Bravo Man says, when starting a digital marketing agency, how do I get clients? So obviously that's a pretty vague answer, but I'll tell you, vague question, but I will tell you really my advice. When it came to getting clients, when I first started out, the thing that I actually did was I wanted to reach businesses that were local to me, because a lot of business owners like to work with people that are local to them. So what I did is I looked around in specific niches. So I just started with things that I knew I actually could kind of resonate with. So I was actually doing a lot of bartering when I started, but you don't have to do that. The way that I would approach this, and this is what I would probably do if I had to start completely over again, and I was just trying to get my skills kind of moving and get some credibility, kind of get my skin in the game. Basically, what I would do is send an email out to some local businesses that are near you and offer to help them with something for free. So maybe that's something really simple. That could be helping them with their Google business page. Maybe you have some feedback on, you could add more photos, or they're not responding to reviews, or just some really basic things that you could do to kind of help them in a positive direction. When I very, very first got started, I learned how to build WordPress sites. And now that's something that's very easy to do. It doesn't take a lot of time. And once you kind of understand, okay, here's how I use WordPress, here's the back end of it, the next best bet would be to come in and, figure out, here's a premium template I could use for building websites and designing websites, right? So I went out and I learned how to build a single theme that was a premium theme. It costs probably $100 now, I think is what it runs for this theme. And I went out and I just built a website with that theme. And once I learned how to do that, it became so easy for me, I could literally build another site in probably under a day or two. So what I did is I would charge the business owners for just website hosting. That's usually $5 a month. And then I would charge them for their domain name if they don't have one, right? Maybe they don't have a website, they don't have a domain name. I would help them get all that set up, but they would pay for those things. So those are both very cheap, right? If they pay for hosting and the domain name, that's going to be, if you do GoDaddy, you can get a coupon to get your first domain for $1. So you could literally get them started for under $10 that they would have to pay. You design the site, and that's going to allow you to basically build some credibility with them, get a testimonial from them, and ultimately now you have a case study of, hey, here's a website that I built, right? Now you could go to other businesses in even that same niche or other niches, and you could start building websites for them. And that's exactly what I did. I used one template, and I built 20 different websites for all these different businesses. I have one for a landscaper. I have one for someone that does pet sitting. I have one for a kitchen remodeler. They do general contracting and remodeling. So that's one way that I've done it, just kind of figuring out how can I build value initially, and then taking that to the next step and figuring out how can we turn this into a long-lasting relationship, right? Now you could charge them for website hosting. You could charge them to do some other things, maybe charge them to maintain the website. And the long game would be to charge them for Facebook or Facebook ads, or doing other things like SEO, which is basically the long game, right? That's how you're really going to start to make a lot more money. And eventually, once you get good at building websites, you can also start charging for those. I've sold websites for over $4,000. So you can make a lot of money even just doing websites. If you're really good at it, you get some good designs going, you can do a lot with that. So hopefully that kind of answers your question. I could elaborate more on that if we have more time. Let's see, how much do I charge for my first client? Setting up and monitoring campaign is a lot of work. I do not want to undercut my services and resent my clients. Yeah, I mean, that's something where, you know, I've had some issues with that myself, where I ran into a scenario where basically I was going out and I literally went and worked with this woman for like $50 a month, and she didn't have a lot of money, and she was like constantly like calling me every week and wondering why she isn't showing up on Google. And it was just like this nightmare, right? Like, why would I work with someone that only has that amount of money? And that was probably the biggest mistake that I made. I was kind of desperate at the time. I had actually lost my job. I had gotten fired, or I think I actually got laid off. I didn't get fired. I gotten laid off, and I was just like, how do I figure out the best way to do this? So I would say, to answer that question, you know, when you start out, it might be worthwhile doing some free work just to have that credibility, so you can actually get work and you can show people, hey, I can do this for you, right? If you went to someone and said, how do I, you know, I'm going to build you a website, but then you don't have an example of something that you've done, it's going to be pretty hard to sell them on that, right? So what I did is I kind of do like I call it the pay it forward method, where you go out and you do something for free and you expect to get something in return. I believe it or not, I just did this for a business. Even though I've been charging for stuff, I found a guy that he worked with this other company, and they literally shut down his Google My Business page. They shut down his whole website, and they took like everything from him. It would almost be like, I can't really think of a good example, but as you could imagine, like, I don't know, let's just say I went and bought a car, and then all of a sudden the dealership just decided that, oh, you stopped making the payments, so they're just going to like take the whole car away from me or something, right? Like that's sort of what happened to this guy. And he had, in reality, it's like he paid for the car, but it was like he was paying for a maintenance plan on the car, and they just decided to take it away because he stopped paying the maintenance plan. So that was kind of what happened to this guy, and I felt bad. So I actually went and built him a website for free using that same template. It took me like a day to do it. It really wasn't hard. And that guy now is working with me. He wants to pay me $500 a month to do local SEO. And the great part about that is I found a partner that he's going to do basically 100% of the work, and we just split the profit 50-50. So I'm going to make $250 a month on it, which isn't a lot, but if you think about it, that's like a car payment, that's my gas bill, that's my electric bill. That could be, you know, a whole wide range of things, and I'm not going to have to do anything for that work, right? So what I would say is kind of build it up gradually. The answer to that question, my long elaborated answer, would be to kind of build it up slowly. Start small, and then once you have credibility that you can do good work, then just don't be afraid to charge premiums for the things that you're offering. So I see the online marketing coach has a bunch of questions, so I will try to answer these the best that I can. You said, how do you go about friends or old colleagues who want to do business with you? So I've kind of run into this a couple times where it can be a little bit of a sketchy situation, right? If you have like a friend and they're like, hey, help me out with a website, right? What I've done in a lot of cases is I try to either do one, I will barter with them in some way. Maybe they have a service that they can offer to me. So I would try to, you know, figure out a way that it makes sense. You know, I had an old coworker, right, at a job that I was working at years and years ago, and I knew how to build the websites. And this woman ran a side business where she was actually a hypnotherapist. And I had never built a website for someone in this niche. She wanted a specialized theme. And I said, you know what, I'll do it. But I charged her like a good amount of money still. I knew that she was kind of helping me out because her husband actually did work on one of my wife's car. So we were kind of helping each other out, you know, and I knew that she was still willing to pay me, but I was basically giving her a discount. So typically it's something that you just don't want to become that scenario where every single person is your friend and you're discounting everybody, right? But maybe if you find a way to discount something, like maybe you charge them the normal rate for the website, but then you give them a deal on something else that you normally might charge a lot more money for. And you might be able to do that and still make a good profit off of it. So that would be the biggest thing. And for me, one of the things that I found myself in a scenario was once people knew I could do websites, I had all these different industries coming after me. And that's kind of been a problem, right? Because if you go and you end up in a scenario where, let's just say, you go and help the guy who's the plumber, he's a friend of yours. And then now you get this other company that does like massage therapy. You go and build a website for the massage therapist and your friend who's the massage therapist, and that website's going to be a lot different than the plumber. You know, it's going to be completely different. So depending on what you do, I would just try to stay focused in a specific niche. I would rather go out and find like 3 friends that are in the same industry. Like, let's say you find 3 people that you know are personal trainers or they do fitness, and you go and help them with their business. You start learning about their business and how you can market their business. You can now stay focused in that niche and use some of that stuff to kind of get your initial results. So hopefully that kind of answers that. I'll answer your next question. Do you charge them the same as a normal client? So hopefully I kind of answered that, but basically it really depends on the scenario. Like I had my cousin that does like makeup. I just literally helped her out for free. Like she didn't even have a Google My Business page. So I was like, you don't even have a Google My Business page. We just need to like get you set up, right? And that didn't take me long. It was like 30 minutes of my time over a quick phone call to help them with that. And, that kind of came to a scenario where it was just one of those things I wanted to, be of service to my cousin, right? It was like a close family relative. So it kind of depends on the scenario of what you're doing for them. But if it comes down to it where you're really going to have to spend a lot of time on something, I would definitely charge for it regardless. Question number 2, you said, how do you build in the risk of failure of the fulfillment side, contractors who do not live up to the quality standard that should be? I've run into this a few times, and it has burned me before. I would say the biggest thing is just really vetting the people that you talk to, vetting the service providers that you're talking to, right? I've found a few companies, which I mentioned in some of my courses and programs, if you guys are in some of those courses of mine. Basically, the biggest thing I did was I went and tested them, right? I spent a little bit of money, and usually I'd have money to play with because the clients would be paying me. So, for example, I had a client, one of my first SEO clients was paying me $1,000 a month. I actually took that $1,000 and I said, how can I spend some of this money and test out this company or this service provider? So that's exactly what I did. I went and ordered, some service or content pieces from like thehoth.com. And I was able to see like how quick are they to deliver? What was the quality of the work? Are they doing things that are really going to move the needle and help my client move forward? So that was probably the biggest thing that I would say was really helpful for me is just kind of testing them out. And I've done a lot of that for you guys. Like if you're in my digital agency course, my How to Start a Digital Agency course, that one really covers a lot on, how to go about, doing some of these things and you not wasting your money or wasting your time with service providers who can't fulfill. So let's see. Number 3, you said, how do you handle clients who think that juniors can't do your job? How do you show value? That can be a tough one. Like I've been in a scenario where it's like people kind of treat you as a little kid. I mean, you just have to present yourself in such a way that people are going to treat you seriously, right? If you're younger, obviously that can be a problem. But if you show that, you're offering high quality work and that you've done that before in the past, I think that's going to be the biggest thing that's going to allow you to stand out and show people that you're really a serious business person. And, you'll be able to work with serious people. That's what I've found. It's funny. I was even talking to this guy the other day, that super successful entrepreneur. He's like was featured on these like news stations talking about his success with his agency. And this guy, like, he just comes across like when he speaks, he's kind of got like an accent, and it can be a little bit difficult to understand him. And I was thinking to myself, like, a lot of people probably have a hard time communicating with him, but he almost, despite that, it almost like doesn't matter. Like he's still able to have just so much success, and he was able to put himself out there despite, maybe some people looking at him and being like, is this guy for real? And that's something I think a lot of people, just have to kind of get over when it comes to, biggest thing is confidence, I'd say. And you asked, how do you test your new partners? So it just kind of depends on the service. Usually I just look at a few things, how fast can they deliver? The biggest thing is I've had some people, like I've paid money to do services and then they didn't deliver any reports or any real substance to what they were doing. The biggest thing is just having something where they can come in and, really offer transparency in what's being done. And if they're not able to do that, then obviously you're not going to be able to report that back to the client, and the client's going to get pissed. I actually had a meeting this morning with a brand new client. Believe it or not, I signed them up for $3,000 a month. So huge client, like they have a lot of expectations, right? That's almost like paying a full-time salaried employee, in reality it is. So they had big expectations. In week 1, they were already asking, well, we're not really sure what's going on. Like we feel like not a lot is happening. And we had actually made a mistake where we didn't have notifications enabled in our system. They weren't getting tagged properly in our project management tool. And we decided to do a meeting with them instead of waiting a whole month. Normally we do a meeting once a month where we all get on the phone. We didn't want to do like weekly meetings. We get on a meeting today, a little bit early, 2 weeks in, And we covered all these different things. We walked them through, here are all the things that we want to implement. Here's the changes we want to make. Here's why we're doing these changes, all the different things, right? And my provider is doing all that for them. So, I knew that coming off this call, that it was going to be something where the client was just going to be very happy. And I know moving forward into the next call, like we already have expectations of what's going to be happening. So, I actually signed, believe it or not. So that's a new one I signed a few weeks ago. And then I just signed one this week for $2,500 a month. So, I used to be like the same way, you guys. Like I used to go and get like these $50 clients or $300 clients. Like I was kind of thinking, not really in the big. I even worked for an agency where I had all these clients that I was managing. I was actually an account manager, and the clients that were there would pay probably about $1,000 a month. Some of them paid $500 a month. Some of them at the high range were probably $2,000 a month. But the biggest thing is if you can convince a business that you're trustworthy and that you're going to be the guy to get the work done, it really all comes down to building trust and having the confidence to ask these prices, put together a solid proposal, and then finding the right partner who can deliver on that work. So I actually found a partner that can deliver on all of this, and I won't actually make quite as much in profit. Like I'm not going to take home that $3,000, but because he's doing all the work and I still get a cut, it's almost like I'm more working based on a commission. And in my particular case, this ends up being in a situation where I don't have to spend all of my time trying to do all these things that his team of like 20 people can be working on, right? So it allows me to have more freedom and I can focus more on sales, which is where I'm going to make more money. So hopefully that makes sense, but that's kind of how I like to do some of this. So let's see, we have a few other questions. I'm going to take a drink of water. Everybody said, thanks for the answers. He said, you give them some strategy consultancy for free and then fulfillment for full price. I mean, yeah, that's definitely one way you could do it. It can be a little bit tough. I like to just, again, offer something initially and then use that to get case studies and testimonials of your work. So let's just say you went out and did 5 websites for free, right? Maybe you just charge them for the domain and hosting. Now you have a whole portfolio of websites that you've done. And now if you go to the next business, you could be like, hey, look at all my samples. Look at all these websites that I built. And you could say, well, I charge $1,000 for this website, and now it's going to be really easy for you to make that sale because now you have proof of your work. Let's see. Someone said, I'm glad I'm taking your Udemy course. Through it, I came your live webcast and will become fun. Thanks for sharing all your experience and insights. Cheers. Yeah, no problem. In Google My Business, they talk of citations. How do I go about it? So citations are basically kind of a fancy word for business listings. So business listing could be a Facebook page for the business. It could be a Yelp page. It could be a listing on Angie's List. Those are some examples about citations. Now, I don't recommend that you be the guy that goes out and do all this stuff unless you really want to work for, spend all your time working on this. There's plenty of third-party websites. Like you could go to Fiverr.com. There's another website called Legit. It's Legitt. I'll actually put it in the chat here. This is a good one. Legit.com. It's kind of like Fiverr, but it's made for SEO services and digital marketing services. And you could go on there and just search for citations. You could pay someone like $25 and they'll go get you like 50 of them. So the idea would be, let's say you charge your client, hey, I'm going to help you get your Google My Business started and we're going to include some citations. You could go to Legit and order that service. And then that way, they have that whole thing systemized. They know how to add all the information to each site. They know how to work with the sites. If you wanted to learn how to do that yourself, you could do that, but it would definitely take a lot more time versus maybe finding someone else that's already doing it and already has a system for it. Someone said, hello, can you tell me where I can find the best course for CPA mobile and YouTube? I actually, believe it or not, I know I do have a free course on CPA, but that really isn't like a specialty that I'm all that great in. I would say if you want to maybe ask some questions about that, CPA marketing, I would go over to a forum called cpaelites.com. And just go and register on that forum and maybe ask some questions there. That's probably going to be your best resource for CPA marketing. Second question, in terms of posting on Google My Business, besides blogging, what are other options available to improve my brand and customer acquisition? Let's see. So I'm trying to think about this. I would say the biggest thing would be probably taking some time to just really reach out to as many people as you can and build relationships with business owners. I would say one of the biggest mistakes that people make is they probably go out there and they're thinking, hey, I'm going to start a digital agency or I'm going to start offering these services. And they spend all this time, building this beautiful website and trying to make it fancy and all this stuff. And in reality, I mean, while that stuff, I think it can matter. I think the biggest thing that is going to allow you to kind of win in the game of digital marketing and closing clients is being able to build trust. So one of the things that I learned over the years, I used to spend a lot of time, believe it or not, I would go on like online dating websites, and I would spend a lot of time getting to know these women, getting them feeling confident enough to meet me in person. And then obviously once I meet them, I would start, going on dates with them. And then eventually I would get to a point where I'm dating them. And now I'm actually married. So I've been married for, it's been like 2-3 years now. And we've been together, I think actually just this month, about 6 years. So it was like a process, right? Like I had to get to know her. I had to build the trust with her. Then we had to go on dates. And then eventually we're dating all the time. And then now we're married, right? So it kind of happened in this very specific process. If you walk into a bar and you just walk up to a woman and you say, hey, will you marry me? Then obviously they're going to reject you. They're going to say no, and they're just going to laugh in your face and nothing's going to come of it, right? So the way you want to think about this is just the best way I can, an analogy I can think of, is when you're working with clients, right? If you cold called a business and was like, hey, can I help you with your SEO? Like you're basically asking them to marry you. They don't know who you are. They don't know anything about you. You really need to figure out how can you approach someone and build that relationship with them and do something different than what everyone else is doing. That's one of the biggest problems I think people have when it comes to getting clients is they're not spending the time to build a relationship, and that's where you're going to end up failing. And a lot of people will just think, oh, well, I'm going to go do something else. But I mean, if you can master that one skill, if you can get good at building relationships and building trust, then you're going to land a lot of clients and you'll be in good hands. So let's see. See some other questions. Awesome on your new clients. Awesome. Thanks for the answers. Much appreciated. John, in your experience, what are some of the best team management tools? Please list for both internal team and teams geographically dispersed. Thank you. So believe it or not, I actually have my own tool that I use for that. I designed it. Originally, when I was working in an agency, I'll give a little backstory on this. I had actually been using a tool called Teamwork, and it's a great tool. Don't get me wrong. It's very expensive and had a lot of functionality, but I just didn't really like the way that it was organized for working with a digital agency. And I tried to get the business owner at the time when I was working for this agency. This is years ago. I was basically like, why don't we use Trello? And I really wanted to use Trello. And the problem with Trello was I loved all the ins and outs of it, but it had like no reporting. It was hard to keep organized and like figure out where everything was at. You just had this big board with all the different clients. And I felt it was lacking. So I actually, believe it or not, you guys, I went out and I developed my own solution. If you guys in the live chat, believe it or not, there is a live call that I put together with my buddy Paul, who unfortunately he was going to come today. I know he was on the thumbnail. He couldn't make it today because he's actually sick and he just couldn't talk. So I decided to do this one on my own. But basically what it came down to was, we decided to develop this software. I call it Evolutely. And if you guys watch the training, I'll leave a link to Evolutely so you can kind of check it out. But we actually ended up, so this Evolutely software, normally we charge quite a bit if you were to buy it through my site there. But if you go and check out, I have a training class where we actually, believe it or not, I sell a course in combination with that team management tool. So if you head over to, if you guys are interested in checking that out, if you head over to noshameincome.com/start and you go to my site there's a page where you can actually sign up for that. And I kind of go over the training and do a little bit of, I go over the software and I give a demo of how it works and some of the features. So if you guys were looking for a tool, like how do I manage all my clients? How do I manage virtual assistants, employees, all the different tasks that I'm working on? That's basically what that tool is designed to do. So I actually built that with the developer and had that made. So hopefully that answers that question, but that's basically what I use. If you were looking for a free solution, I would say you could just use Trello. But ultimately, obviously, I'd rather you use the one that I had developed myself because that was the purpose of it. Let's see. You also asked, are live webcasts going to be available afterwards? So yeah, this will actually go live on YouTube. It'll go published on YouTube, and anybody can come back and just watch this. It'll be live on my YouTube channel. So if you want to come back and rewatch it, or you have to leave early, feel free to definitely come back and watch the replay. Someone had a question about affiliate marketing. Better to do Amazon or ClickBank /Warrior Plus, etc. So that's a really good question. I've actually done both. So why don't I answer my thoughts on that? And this is a little bit different from clients, but again, you guys, if you have questions other than client stuff, just entrepreneur, if you want to talk about affiliate marketing, any of these other topics, feel free to ask questions because I've done all this stuff. So Amazon is great because you can build a site around a focus niche, right? Like I was on a website last night that literally was all about garbage disposals. So they were doing like the top 5 best like hanging garbage disposals. Believe it or not, we're remodeling our bathroom and there's not a lot of space and I don't really have anywhere I can put a trash can and have a lot of room. It's just that small of a bathroom. So we had one like bolted to the side of the vanity. And I was looking for a replacement because we wanted something a little bit nicer. So I came across this guy's Amazon affiliate site, and he compares 5 different things. And if I decide to buy one of those products, they will earn a 4% commission on that sale. Now I have 2 sites that are in this space, in the Amazon affiliate space, and I probably make about $100 to $200 a month. And those sites I spent a significant amount of time on, but there's probably a lot of things that I missed that I could have been doing, like more SEO and more link building and all these other things. My personal opinion, it's probably not worth, unless you're really, really good at, like, you love writing content and you want to do all the SEO yourself and you're willing to spend like 6 months on something, knowing that it's going to take a lot of time to build up and start making money. I would say, yeah, go for it. But ultimately, it's a lot of work for very little reward, right? Like this week, I could go on Upwork and I could send out 10 proposals, and if I could get one of those clients for $1,000 a month, which is like low for me, I'm going to make that money this week, and I'm going to know I have that client. But of course, that client could leave at any time. Things could happen. The client could be a pain. You have to talk to the client. Whereas with the Amazon site, I could go work on it for 4 or 5 months, and now I could be making $1,000 a month, and that money is just going to keep coming in. I don't have to talk to a soul. The money's going to keep coming in. People keep buying things. But you're always going to have competition as well. Like someone could come in and knock out your rankings. You're going to have to constantly be adding more and more content and just doing things with the site, right? So let me grab a quick drink of water. So that's kind of the downside with Amazon. When it comes to ClickBank, it's kind of a similar deal where you have to get really niche and kind of creative with finding an offer. So let's just say you want to go, promote like some, I don't know, like I have something right here on my desk, right? Like, let's just say this was a product on ClickBank. This is like some focus pill that I bought off Amazon. They probably have offers just like this on ClickBank where you could go and promote a product like this. They're going to have a whole landing page, a whole sales page, and all this stuff about that topic. So you'd have to get creative. Like, where am I going to get the traffic? How am I going to promote this? What am I going to do that's different to drive traffic into an offer like this one and help it sell, right? So that's kind of the thing with ClickBank. With Warrior Plus, you have more launches, right? So these are like lower ticket affiliate offers, new launches, new things coming out all the time. You can make a lot of money if you could build an email list of people that are interested in that, right? So let's just say you built up an email list of 500 people and they're interested in make money online or internet marketing. This new product comes out, like I'm promoting something right now to my email list that is a video creation software. So I have a list of 5,000 people, and I know that on average, like I was able to drive about 100 clicks to my offer. So based on that, I know that I'm going to get like a small number of sales if the offer is actually good. And what's cool is I'll earn 50% of every sale that's made. So I'm kind of letting these other guys do all the heavy lifting. They created the sales pages. They even wrote the emails for me. They let me demo the software. So I did a video review on my YouTube channel. If you actually look at my videos this week, you'll see I did a whole demo of the product. So that's another thing you can do, but I will say it's very competitive. There's a ton of guys that are just going out there and being like, hey, I'm going to review this product and we're going to talk about it, and then they're going to promote it, and just makes it very difficult for you to stand out. So you have to kind of get creative, maybe like not just, I don't particularly like doing a lot of that stuff as much as some other people, because I don't really want my audience like going and buying like 50 million different tools, and I don't want to be pitching people every single week with some new offer, right? So I only do it once in a while for stuff that's mostly related to getting clients. So hopefully that answered your question. Manny said, thank you for answering both the questions. I think I covered the name of the software. And Bravo Man said, how do you structure a deal proposal? Upfront setup and development, a monthly maintenance fee, then budget for ad spend, or you combine all of them into your fee? So really, depending on what you're offering, I would say that's going to be how you structure it. With SEO, I've done it like, let's just say it's a local SEO client. You're going to rank a photographer on the first page of Google in the Google map. I would basically, I've done it a couple ways. I would give them a flat rate price, and that includes basically doing all the SEO, right? That means I'm going to help them show up higher in the map pack. Usually what I do with those is sometimes I've actually said, hey, we need a budget in addition to the fee, where the fee is going to cover both basically me and my team, my guy that's working on this, going in and doing all the on-page SEO, changing site structure, adding content to the website, doing different things that are going to help increase the rankings. And on the other side of that, we'll give a budget that we could use to go order services. So for example, we might want to get them a press release, right? And that press release is going to cost money. That might cost us $100, let's just say as an example. So the client will give us a budget, a set budget every month. We have a client right now that pays us $1,250. So me and the partner split it 50-50. So we each get $500. And then we take that $250 and we allocate that to things that we can use to help them with their rankings. So we might spend, like this month, we might go get them a press release. Maybe we'll go have a video done to help them market their business. And these are all services that we don't really do ourselves, but we'll go get them at cost. Like we'll go to Fiverr and have a logo done, or have like, something new done. Like we'll have a piece of content written for $10. We're not going to go charge them $100 or like upsell them. But that has somewhat run into issues where we end up in a scenario where basically what ends up happening is, more or less, they're like, well, what are you doing? If we're paying you to pay these other people, it can become a little bit troublesome. So what we've been trying to do moving forward is we just kind of include it all in one. And then we actually tell them, we may end up telling them like, here's where we spent your money. And a lot of times I find that if we're doing the cost thing, it makes the reporting look a lot better. Like we could say, hey, we spent this money on this and this and this, and we went and got you all these things. And we're kind of like deviating the whole project. And then they're seeing all the rankings just increase and things moving forward. So it really helps us to put us in a position that they see a full transparent view of everything that we're doing. And Jerry said, you did answer my question. Thanks. Yeah, I could always offer more insight on that. I've been kind of doing a combination of some affiliate stuff. And one of the things that I've actually been spending a lot more time on, you guys, is sales funnels. That's something I've been having a lot of fun with. It's something I get really excited about, right? Because I actually last year, I ran some ads. And one of the things I did was every time I knew I'd gotten, let's say I got like a new person to sign up on my email list, I actually would track all the numbers every month. And I had all these different offers that I would offer to people. Maybe that's affiliate offers or my own courses, my own programs. And as people go through and, read my emails, they're basically buying these products and I'm making money back. So I was actually able to afford paying $5 to get someone to give me their email address. And I could, in the end, get someone to come back and ultimately buy my product. So let's just say my product was $200. I could afford to spend $150 on emails and know that I'm going to make my money back from the people who decide to buy my program or my product. So it's pretty good way to kind of approach, really building this up. And what I plan to do is actually offer a lot more offers on the back end. So if you wanted to go out there and do something like this, you could build a whole slew of affiliate offers into an email marketing system that are maybe correlated. So like in my case, I'm doing a lot of digital marketing type stuff, like get clients, software for getting clients, all kinds of things related to that. And basically, as they go through these emails, they're buying my stuff and I'm earning commissions, and it's all automated, right? The emails I could have them set up like for months at a time if I wanted to, depending on how complex you want to make it. So let's see. Hopefully that kind of answered your question. But yeah, I try not to tack on like too much like monthly maintenance and all these other things. But if you want to do some of that, of course you can. At most, I usually just charge a yearly hosting fee. And I have a friend of mine that does my website hosting. You said, how often does you or your team create and post content for your average client? Which platform do you see the best return for effort for clients? So it kind of depends. I mean, I have a couple clients where we might do blog posts once in a while. And a lot of times right now, we're kind of doing some of that on our own because it's not like a massive part of it. But basically way that we're probably approaching most of it is we're just mainly trying to get other people to write the content for us. I'd say that's the biggest thing. I have at one point, I trained a whole team of people that were, I was running a big network where we had a lot of sites we were posting blogs on all the time. And we had to basically have all these people writing the content, and then the content had to be published on like 30 different websites. And as you can imagine, if I was the one, like I even going on Upwork and like hiring different people to have the articles written, even just going in and trying to post them and make sure there's images and all this other stuff takes so much time. So I highly recommend figuring out how can I hire people to do this stuff for me, right? If I go out and charge someone $1,000 a month to do all this stuff, I could hire teams or people to deviate and do all these things for me and learn how to just log into WordPress and make the post, and I don't have to be the one doing that. Let's see. Do you call prospects who sign up by email, or do you practice cold calling as well? So I kind of answered that earlier, but basically, I don't do a ton with email. Like I don't do like mass amounts of email, but basically the way I approach it is I like to put together kind of a value video, like something that's of value. Maybe I show them like a problem with their website or with their Google My Business, and then I send them that video, and then I will try to follow up with that person with a phone call or with an email. So I'll say, here's the email with the video. They don't reply. If I call them in 2 days, I can actually see whether or not they watched that video. So if they watched it, I could call them up and say, hey, I saw that you watched the video I sent you an email on the other day. I just wanted to see what you thought. Did you have any questions, right? And that kind of did the selling for me. And that way, now they're kind of going, wow, this guy like offered me a bunch of value, and now I know some problems with my business. So here's the things that I need to kind of move forward with. Now they're going to be a lot more trustworthy in wanting to move forward. And you said, so I can focus in sales and marketing. Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, when it comes to doing like digital marketing as a whole, right, you kind of have 3 types of ways you could go about it. So the first way is you're basically doing all the sales and you're getting the clients, and you have someone else do 100% of the work. Maybe that's a white label partner or an agency. They're doing everything. The second way is you build your own team. So you could go and hire all these little virtual assistants or employees. Like let's just say if you looked at a real world agency, in my case, I work in a home office, but if I worked in a real agency, I might have all these little employees all over the place, that are helping me do all these different things. I've got an AdWords guy, I have a Facebook guy, I have a social media person, I have a content person. You can have all these employees that do all the different things. But, ultimately that really, to me, like I didn't want to manage all these people. I didn't want to do it with virtual assistants. I just didn't want that overhead. You could probably make the most money doing that option and having, kind of a middle ground of free time. But the third way is you do all the work yourself, right? You can go get the client and say, hey, I'm going to rank you with SEO. And then you're doing all the SEO work. You're doing all the on-page. You're fixing their links. You're getting them backlinks. Maybe you're ordering services. You're kind of doing all those different things. And you're sort of semi-doing some things yourself, some things you're ordering services for. Maybe you're doing all the things yourself. Like if you were crazy, you could be going out there and manually doing citations on your own, or trying to go and like email websites and try to get guest posts. But in my opinion, the first way I mentioned is absolutely the best way. And that's because you're not going to necessarily make as much margin. So like I told you guys, I closed a $3,000 client, right? My partner, he gives me $800 a month on that. So it's a little bit of a bummer to me in a sense, because I'm not going to make all that $3,000, but he's doing 100% of the work. I don't have to do anything. The only thing that I do is get on a phone call once a month with the client. And usually I'm listening the entire time because my partner is the one who's fulfilling the work and deviating everything. So that's basically one of the best ways I would say you could approach it. I've gone out and gotten like 4 or 5 of these clients. So I literally have more money coming in from my old salary job, and I'm literally doing, 5 to 10 minutes of work every month for each of those clients. So hopefully that makes sense. I know I'm giving you guys some long drawn out answers, but I want to be as helpful as I can. You asked, do you create your own funnels, landing page sequences, or use a product, ClickFunnels, etc.? Thank you for your answers. So yeah, I use ClickFunnels. I also use one called Thrive Architect, which is great. You could buy that one time and then you could use that forever. ClickFunnels is a great all-in-one solution, but they are a little bit expensive. They're about $97 a month. You also have the ability where with that, it's going to give you a little bit more, like you've got a cart solution built in, a whole bunch of other things. But yeah, that's basically what I use. I also use a tool called ThriveCart for my invoicing and purchasing software. So that's where people can go and actually make the purchase of my products. So a lot of you guys, since you're from Udemy, you may not know this, but I do sell a lot of my courses on my own website, and I generally sell them for more because obviously Udemy does a lot of discounting. So when I make a sale, I have an invoicing software that delivers them like access to the course, and I do all that outside of Udemy. And I use software like ClickFunnels and other softwares to do that. Let's see. What is your SLA with your team? So I know, to be honest, I maybe need a little bit more clarification on the SLA. I'm assuming that's kind of like you're just looking for more information on, like kind of the outline, or like what's kind of like the way to approach it, or how do I organize it, I guess, if that's what you're asking for. Maybe like how is it clarified? Generally, what I do is I have 2 partners. So I have one partner that I do local SEO with, and I have another partner that I'm doing organic SEO. So that organic partner rather, they're generally only taking bigger deals, like e-commerce sites that are massive, that have like huge amounts of traffic and really need a lot of help and have a budget to be able to spend on this stuff. So those are some of the clients we're doing for organic. And generally, we just come up with a flat rate price that he gives me recurring every month when I close those sales. I also have with my partner, with the local SEO, we split it 50-50, but I, again, bring him all the deals. So he's really I would say one of the hardest parts is getting those clients, getting people to feel confident and like, let's move forward. And I'm actually going to pay, this company or this person this much money. That's probably one of the hardest things to do. So a lot of businesses, they probably won't pay that much. They won't give you like a 50-50 split, but it really just comes down to finding the right partner. I've seen some agencies where they say, hey, we'll do all the work and you get like 10% every month, but I've been able to just build relationships with the right people where I know that I could go out and find people who will, I talked to someone the other day that I know like really knows what he's doing with SEO, and he's more than willing to do 50-50. A lot of people are more than willing to do that. So it's just a matter of spending the time looking and, talking with people, vetting them, understanding what they can do for you. Let's see. Mac Jim says, do you only use WordPress? So for most of my sites, I use WordPress. I do know some agencies that have used things like, there's one called like Duda that you could use for building websites. It's a little bit like more easier drag and drop, but generally I use WordPress, and then I use landing page tools like ClickFunnels, as I mentioned earlier. The online marketing coach says, love the details. Could you please list links to those websites, for example, tracking? I would say hit me up on that, like send me a message on Udemy if you want, and then just let me know like what specifically you're looking for, and I could send you links, in terms of some of the things that you might, want to use if you're looking for specifics. I just don't want to sit here typing out in the chat for a while. Bravo Man asks, Thrive Architect, is it a better option than landing pages over MailChimp over Drip Campaign? So Thrive Architect is a landing page builder. So depending on what you're doing, you could combine all that together, right? Thrive Architect could be the landing page. You could also have MailChimp that's collecting the emails on the back end through Thrive Architect's capture page. And then from there, MailChimp could be delivering emails over a period of time. So hopefully that answers that. I think so far I've gotten most of your questions, you guys. I know we're at about 45 minutes. I figure if you guys still have more questions, I'll stick around for like another 15 minutes or so and conclude this up, for a full hour. What other questions do you guys have? We have quite a few people that showed up for this. I wasn't really sure. I know that I sent a couple of messages, previously in the past week, and I was hoping to get a little bit better attendance. I had tried doing one of these a while ago, and like I sent it an hour before, and then people are like, I didn't have enough time to like know that the webinar, to know that it was coming. All right, so we got a bunch more coming in. What were your biggest failures? What were you learning the most from? A lot of people, they talk a lot about mindset, and I think that's one of the biggest things that I've struggled with. So I'll talk about 2 of the huge things that I think will help you guys in the biggest way possible, right? You can already tell, like even just in this live stream, I've talked about some different things, right? You could go off and try to build like this amazing funnel with ClickFunnels and try to make money doing affiliate offers, or you could go out there and get clients. And I've done both of those things, but really what would have been better was if I had spent the time on one specific thing and learned how to do that really, really well and gotten really good at that, I would probably be making a lot more money and being a lot more successful than I am now had I really focused. I know guys that have come in like 2 or 3 years ago in the internet marketing space, and they're millionaires now. Like they're making crazy amounts of money. And in retrospect, I put a blog post up if you guys want to check it out on my blog. Both one, detailing my story of all the successes and failures I've had. I even have a little mini course that goes along with that if you want to check it out. And then in addition to that, I wrote a blog post recently about the 12 ways that I've ever made money online. And I've probably made about $250,000 from all the things that I've done, whether or not that's selling courses, doing affiliate offers, doing client work, all the different things that I've done. Probably made about $250,000 over a span of like 5 or 6 years. So I would say the biggest thing that you could probably do moving forward, here are the things that I just implemented. So number one, I hired an accountability coach. And believe it or not, this is actually expensive. It's $250 a month. But I wanted someone to keep me accountable, right? Like right now, I'm self-employed. I work in this office every day. There's no reason that this morning, if I decided to wake up at 10 o'clock and then play video games, like I have an amazing setup. I love video games. I'm a huge PC gamer. If I woke up this morning, I literally could have just played games till this live stream if I wanted, till 1 o'clock. And no one would have been like, why did you do that? Why did you go and just play games all week or all day, right? So there's no one really telling me not to do that. So the biggest thing that I felt I needed in my own life was someone to kind of keep me accountable, almost like a boss. So what I'm doing is every week I have someone that calls me up on Friday at 9:30 in the morning, and they're like, hey, what did you do last week? So we set goals. So my goals for this week were create 4 YouTube videos, wake up every day at 8 a.m. instead of waking up at like, I don't know, 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock. That's when I was literally waking up at like 9 o'clock or 9:30 like every day for months. And obviously that time, had I been waking up at like 8 or even 7 a.m., like those extra hours, I could have gotten a lot of work done in that time. So basically what it came down to is I wanted someone that's going to keep me accountable for those things. So I said, okay, 8 a.m., I'm going to wake up every day at 8 a.m. this week, and I'm going to do a workout. So like that's one thing is I'd like to try to like lose a little bit of weight, get in better shape. So I've been working out every single day and also doing that. And then I also said I want to do, I'm working on this project. I'm building out basically a sales funnel for some of my products. So I put a goal of figuring out like what is the next step with that and what am I going to do. So throughout the week, I'm working on all these things. I'm doing my YouTube videos and I'm working on the sales funnel. And one of the biggest problems that I found was, I'm going to be honest, you guys, if you go on YouTube, like you're on YouTube right now, but if you go on YouTube and you go on Facebook, which were the biggest ones for me, if you start liking other entrepreneurs and different people that are in the space, you're going to get inundated with marketing messages. People are going to be showing ads to you like nonstop. It is so bad. I mean, I can't even go watch a video on YouTube. Like if I go watch a funny video, a comedy video, all of a sudden Alex Becker is, telling me about drop shipping and why I need to go start a Shopify store, right? And it's this huge distraction. So what I did is I blocked out all these distractions. I decided literally as of this week, I actually blocked Facebook on my phone. I removed the Facebook app, and I also deleted all my social media. I got rid of my Instagram on the app on my phone. I got rid of my Snapchat. I got rid of all that stuff that is just really distracting. What I was finding was that I was seeing these people that are doing these other things, and they seem so magical and so amazing. Like they're having success with LinkedIn, or they're doing this, they're doing that, and everything sounds really amazing, right? And everything looks like the grass is greener on the other side, or that it's going to be easier, going to move me forward faster. But in reality, every time I went and did something else, it's like you're just starting from zero again, and now you have to build it all the way up. It's pretty much like anything. You look at building a house; it's not going to happen in a month. And if you look at going to college, college is 4 years. All this stuff takes time. So if you go and, expect to start a digital agency and then go land your first client and do all this stuff within like 2 days, like it's just not going to happen, right? You have to go into it for the long term. So I've had issues where I would jump around doing some of these things. I even had a point where I paid someone for a course. I paid them $500 to learn how to do Upwork. That was something I knew I could have success with because they were having success with it. And 3 weeks in, I was like, man, this isn't working. Like, I'm not making any money. I'm not getting any clients. And I give up, 3 weeks. Like, that was barely any time. And then later on, I went and hired that guy. And he kind of gave me the accountability. He kind of mentored me and helped me. And I was able to get that stuff all set up. And I went and landed a $2,500 a month client. That was 3 years ago that I did that. And the biggest thing was I shifted my mindset. I said, I can land a big client. I can be successful at Upwork. I can be successful getting clients, and I just changed my whole mindset around that stuff. So I would say the biggest thing is just getting rid of distractions, getting in the right mindset of, that you can be successful. Spend more time around people if you can that are going to lift you up and they're doing better things than you. right? That guy, Paul, who is going to join me today, that guy is having way more success than I am. Like, to be honest, he's a really good friend of mine, and we talk all the time. And he just bought like basically a supercar. He has 2 houses that cost over $400,000. He travels and goes to Disney World with his wife for 2 months out of the year and spends over 60 days, like 60 to 90 days, just going around on Disney rides and eating out and doing whatever they want, like while his business runs and makes money. So obviously I'm not there yet myself, but like I'm hanging around with someone that's doing those things, doing much bigger things than I am. So if you hang around people that, you know, I have other friends, like my regular friends, like here in my own home life, like they don't really think about entrepreneurship. They just want to play video games every weekend. They're fine working their 9-to-5 job. They don't really have any big aspirations or big goals. So I try to limit how much I spend time with those people versus how much I spend with people that are going to lift me up. So anyway, I know that's a long answer, but I would highly, highly recommend going and reading my story blog post. You'll see some of the epic failures that I made. You'll see some of the huge successes. But really, it comes down to focusing your mindset and just blocking out distractions and things that are going to, you know, take you out of the loop, right? Having that accountability. All right. So anyway, I love that topic. So that's why I kind of went on a little tangent there. Manny says, what tool would you recommend for an SEO audit? I really like SEO Power Suite. That has a really good auditing tool because you can go in and actually customize things. So if there's certain things you don't want to show in the audit report, you can remove them and you can actually make the audit show 100%. So it's kind of a sneaky little trick that you can do with auditing. So that's the one I really like. If you're looking for more deep, like technical audits, I really like Screaming Frog, which is a desktop-based application. Yep, I can share it. If you go to, let me see, I will grab it here. I think this is the link. They have a suite of other tools, but if you go to, you can buy just their auditing tool. So if you go to noshameincome.com, SEO Power Suite, that basically is their landing page. And if you look at the top, it's the website auditor. So I think for that one alone, if you were to get, like, depending on what you wanted, you could do their professional one, which is $125. And if you decide to do the enterprise one, the cool thing about the enterprise one is you can save the reports and you could actually sell those audits to other people. You could sell them on like that legit.com or fiverr.com. And I've actually done that and I made some money selling audits. So that's something you could do as well to make a little bit of money if that's something you're interested in. Let's see. Where did you find the coach? So yeah, the coach, I will tell you guys where. It's a really cool company. And I will say definitely a little bit more expensive. If you're looking for something like really high level, I think this is going to be the best way to go. It's called Commit Action. So again, that one, it's $250 a month. And you basically get assigned a person who emails you once a week. And you also get, it also gives you kind of an idea of, you know, everything that's going on. Like every week they email you and they also do a phone call with you. You get a bunch of webinars on mindset and just, you know, staying focused and all these other things. So an alternative would be to like go to somewhere like the Reddit entrepreneurship thread, and you could just go on there and start asking questions like, hey, like I'm looking for someone that wants to be an accountability partner. That would probably be a better way, but it's not going to be as structured as what Commit Action is. I like the tool that does a complete SEO audit and not just the index page. I would maybe even look at, there's a company called Marketer Center, and they have this option where you can pay for an audit. It's only like $35. And believe it or not, I've gone out and I've charged clients like $500 for their audits and had those done. And then I recorded a video of me just going through the audit that Marketer Center did for me. So that's something else you could do as well, and works really, really well. Said SEO Power Suite's a really awesome tool. Yeah, I really like that one. Can you share the name again? Yeah, I think if you actually go to, it's like invite only. And I think if you use my link, if you sign up with that link, anyone that's looking to maybe source out some stuff for SEO or just about anything, you can actually sign up. And I think if you use my code, if you use No Shame SEO, I'm going to put it in the chat. When you go to sign up, there's like an approval ID code. And if you use No Shame SEO, that will actually give you a small discount on all of their services. I think you get like 5% off for life. So definitely check into that one if you're looking for some audits and they do other stuff too. They do link building, they do citations, they do content writing, just about anything you could need. They're going to cover all that for you guys. So do we have any other questions before we kind of wrap things up? I know this has been quite the hour. Thank you so much for you guys that have actually shown up and decided to hang out. Is everybody here from, I imagine most of you here are from Udemy. I didn't even email my own email list about this. I thought I would see what, how many people could I get. I would have hoped for more, to be honest, because I actually have, believe it or not, I have 120,000 students on Udemy, and it looked like we probably had a maximum of about 20 people on here. So in retrospect, that's not really a lot of people given the amount of students I have, but you figure a lot of people probably are busy. They're like at work and stuff or whatever they got going on. It's the middle of the day. I wonder if I would have had a better turnout if I did it at night. Did your Udemy course on local SEO? Yeah, awesome. Cool. Well, I may, I'm not 100%, but I may try to do one of these like once a month. I have done some webinars and things like that for, some other folks. And, I've been trying to do a lot more. I want to interact more with folks. Obviously, for those of you who have questions on anything, you can email me at any time, send me a message on Udemy. I'm always happy to help. I try to do everything I can for my students. So if you guys have questions on anything, don't hesitate to reach out. I do the best that I can. So, all right, well, I'm going to go probably grab a snack and drink some more water here because I talk so much my throat starts to kill me after these hour-long sessions. It's kind of a bad habit of mine. But unless we have any final questions, we got a few more minutes. I know I answered quite a few. All right, cool. Well, thank you guys. Again, I will announce in the future if I decide to do another live session, and I will see you guys. Again, email me anytime if you have questions, and I'll be happy to help. And I think someone did ask, I forgot to throw this in, but if you go to noshameincome.com, that's my blog. That's kind of like my home, so to speak. So if you want to learn a little bit more about what I'm doing in my blog posts, that would be the place to go. And I don't update it that often as of recently, but yeah, that would be the main place you could go learn about what I got going on. All right, thanks again, and I will talk to you guys later.